Welcome to the Wings Mobile Detailing Business and Automotive Podcast, the only podcast that will guide you on how to start and grow six-figure companies. As our team expand from one business location to worldwide domination, you will get step-by-step insights from a millennial franchisor and franchise owner with your host, Andre Mezalira.
All right, guys, this is the Wings Mobile Detailing Podcast. I'm speaking with Renato Fabri. Where city you're living in, Renato?
I'm in Connecticut.
Connecticut. And
Yeah.
the way I found his number actually, as directly on Instagram. I was following him and realized nowadays it's super hard to find people that understands, the process and doing that is actually in the game of business, not just wanna be what's the word, man? Wanna be preneurs. Entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when I saw your profile and start following you and seeing just I think we as entrepreneurs we have that it's easy to get caught on, the real people
hmm
against those, just okay doing stuff. And that's what I realized from your profile, man. The grind every day. I see consistency with whatever you do, running the business at the same time.
hmm
And I was crazy. Like I wanted to get on the phone with you, man, and share some ideas and insights and see how you operate too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the wanting to get me on, and I always want to connect with people that are also on the grind and kind of understand because it is something that a lot of people think that it's like this glamorous thing, and sure there are some good moments and you can enjoy yourself, but like after the long hours for 3 4 years and then you
Yeah.
probably take like a little bit of time, but then like the thing is like for me I like it, like I like for me I am wanting to wake up early, like I'm
Hmm.
joyful to get out of bed. I'm not like in bed like, oh,
Yeah.
another day.
It's not like work,
Like,
right? It's not. It doesn't feel like work like most people see on the outside, right?
exactly. And I think it's because it starts with like your why. It starts with like what are you trying to do, right? And that kind of comes down to like, all right, there's certain goals that I've set for myself for like my family, for my business, financial, for spiritual. Like I have all
Mm.
those things. So because I understand like where I'm trying to go within
Yeah.
the next few years, and then obviously even further down as far as legacy and leaving an impact, like I'm joyful, and like
Hmm.
this morning, you could. This is actually perfect. That where I start. I went to bed super early, yesterday because I was just tired,
Uh huh.
and then I woke up, no alarm, no nothing. It was like 1:59 a.m. and I just didn't. I did not like go back to bed. I was like, all right, perfect. I got some more extra time. Let me do some reading. Let me like catch up on some things, and then I just like continued with my day at 4:15 to go to the gym. And I don't think a lot of people would do that simply
Hmm.
because they want to go back to sleep. But for me, I was wide
Yeah.
awake. I didn't need to go back to sleep.
Yeah, and it's hard, man. It's hard to kind of like find just like I said, the reason what I see on you're working up what every day I'm seeing. I don't see one day that I'm not that I see it every day, but when I see it, I like to follow people like that, and I see the grind that you have of waking up every day at 4. You can tell, like you can see that you're living to the fullest. You're finding a purpose. You're going after a purpose that you have, aside from
hmm
waiting for the weekend to come. And like like most people, which is hard to explain sometimes, like having them understand this
Yeah.
fulfillment that I think that we feel,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if people kind of like like get away from the distractions, right? Like, get away from their phone, get away from like their friends, and just like kind of spend time with themselves. As
Hmm.
far as whichever way they prefer, people could do meditating, people could do thinking via reading, journaling, praying, whichever one people prefer, and really sit down with yourself and be like, all right, what do I want to do? Like, what do I like to do? And what do I want to do? Right? Because then now you're kind of stepping away from that, like waiting for the weekend to have fun. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally get it, man. And I totally get what you're saying. Like I feel this the same way that you're not waiting for the weekend because you're ready, or you do little things like writing goals. For me, when I write my goal down every day, I like to do it at night.
Hmm.
I wake up the next day uh, more motivated to do the things that I know what I have to do to reach those goals. And like you know what you have to do every day, and you feel terrible when you don't, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
I do, and I think that like I was actually talking to a buddy of mine. That's like kind of like my personality type is
Mhm.
basically like I want to work and I feel upset if I don't work or I didn't perform as high as I should have, even though in comparison to like someone that isn't doing what I'm doing, it's like, oh, you did great work today, but I could have put in more time, more hours, more dedication, more calls, more emails, like
Mhm.
whatever it could have been, um, because like I know where I'm trying to go, and I feel like if I don't do the action,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get there slower, right?
Yeah.
So it is important to, and it really just comes down to like, what are you doing on a daily basis? Because it adds up. It does not. It's not something you just do one time,
Yeah.
right? Like you're not gonna get fit and get a six pack going to the gym once.
Yeah.
You're gonna get fit and get a six pack after 1 year of going to the gym every single day and eating healthy, right? Same thing applies to finance. Same thing applies to your relationship with your friends, with your intimate relationships. Um, Same thing applies to your health. Like that's how I see it. Like with
Yeah.
my goals, I broke down my goals in everything, like business, finance, spiritual, contribution, charity, investment,
Mhm.
um, friendship, family, and I wrote it down like what do I want and why do I want it. So like I have crystal clear clarity as to what I want, and then I remind myself every single day because our brains forget. Our brains are not as great of memorers, like as great of a memory that we think it is. We have to constantly remind ourselves of the goal, remind ourselves
Mhm.
of what the vision is, remind ourselves what we want to do, because we'll just forget. We'll get distracted and like scroll through Instagram.
Yeah, it's
Like,
so easy, man. It's so easy to get off track, man. Oh my God, And it's funny because just like for me that's success, man. That is success when you know what you have to do every day, and that fulfillment that you're doing it what you know you have to do. Each one has their own definition of what success is for them.
hmm.
And when they're doing that every day, that they know that they are doing what they're supposed to do to reach their goal.
Yeah.
That is success. That feeling, man. I finished this, and I know, like, I bet you pushed yourself a lot, which is for me is awesome. The best thing to do. Compared to the average people out there. I bet you push yourself every day. If you don't get produce in a matter of 2 hours, or in a weekend, like you treat the weekend like everybody else does, like
Hmm.
feel like miserable.
Yeah. And I just to add to that, I really do think that when you're pushing yourself and you push it, like I do rest. Like I don't work 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But when you aren't working and you put in the work, that relaxation is so blissful. It's like I earned this rest time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It totally, man. So, and while we were doing the work also, at the same time, you're having that short term, that short term successes, because while you're doing the work, it doesn't feel like work for you. Like you're having excitement because you're working towards growth, and everybody feels awesome when they grow. Everybody feels fulfilled
Yeah,
in
as
all areas.
Tony Robbins says, progress equals happiness. So if you're seeing progress in what you're doing, and that could be as little as like earning an extra $100 a month, or as little as losing a pound, or as little as speaking to one new person like a week, like that's progress in some area in your life. If it's like your social calibration, if it's your finance, if it's your physical, if it's like your business, and you see some type of progress, you're gonna feel happiness towards it. But to kind of like counter that, if you aren't growing, that's where people feel like depressed and anxious because they don't
Mm-hmm.
see any type of change in their life. Like I see myself like just the time of me doing business and just developing myself and reading, I'm like in a completely different place
Uh-huh. Yeah.
than where I was like just 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 24 months ago.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy to see, like look back because I journal every day, so I could actually read my thoughts in 2017, right? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's what I was thinking, that's what I wanted, and like a lot of the things that I wrote, like not all of it, but a good amount of part, like I've either got really close to or I'm on par to getting what I want, and that was like 2017, 2 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and it's crazy to like because I documented it via journaling, you could see it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, totally, man. And do you ever remind yourself or remember back for the time that you hadn't had the successes that you're having now, or you haven't had this entrepreneurial life? When you're living more of like a quote unquote normal life. Do you
Hmm.
ever think back and you're like, man, I can't believe I couldn't do that what I did before. Uh, what I did before I couldn't do it now because it just doesn't fulfill. For me, I remember before that was I started the business about 5 years, 5 or 6 years ago, and
Okay.
before then, it would be a New Year's Eve, and friends of mine, real close friends of mine, would go to places, and I would go for me, certain places I'm talking about. I would feel miserable if I go to those places. I'm not saying about vacation or things like that. It's cool, but to take night off and then another one off and then another one off. And
Hmm.
do you remind yourself when you're that day and you're like, man, I'm so glad I improved so much to where I am now?
Oh yeah, like so like for me, when I guess what kind of put me on into business was a mentor of mine that kind of put me under his wing when I was 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I was like training to play soccer. Like I had the determination to wake up. Like I've been waking up at like 5 or like 4:30 since I was like 17. So
Oh, that's my struggle every day, man. That's my biggest push, waking up early.
it's just you gotta go to bed early, man. Create a schedule. Like go to bed at the same time every single day. Like if you can do that, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
wake up at whatever time you want to wake up. It starts the day before. Like I plan my day at like I have everything scheduled. So I plan my day at 7 to 7:05 for the next day, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm planning it. And then I'll read, and then I have like relaxation time, and then I go to bed at 10, between 10 and 10:30. And then it automatically wakes me up at 4. Like my body just wakes up.
Oh, do you feel more productive during the morning time? That you don't have to force much. I'm sure you're productive every time, but the time that you don't have to force too much, do you feel it's easier during the morning? Because for me,
Yeah.
man, I'm on 220. If I at night, around midnight, like I want to do everything, and I usually go to bed at 1 a.m.
Then maybe
Uh,
then maybe you're just a night person, and that's fine.
yeah.
That's like you don't have to wake up early. For me, I do the earliness because that's my time. Like that's when I can like kind of have my own time as far as my meditation, my journaling, my manifesto, which is just like reading my goals and my vision,
Yeah.
my workout session, and then it just all just adds into jumping into work. Like I do that all before I start my workflow with like my Facebook ads and my clients. I do all that before I even start my work, so I've clear crystal clarity of what I want to do. But for you, you might actually be grinding midnight 1, 2, you're just a night owl. It all depends
I
on who
am,
you
man.
are,
I'm
you
totally a
know?
night. Totally, man. I do like what I started that 75 hard challenge,
Hmm.
of Andy Frisella. Have you know the guy, don't
I
you?
love Andy. Andy's a
Yeah.
good guy. Yeah.
And I assumed you did, man. It's funny. And I put one of my power lists on that is to wake up at 7:30. For
Hmm.
I'm sure for you it'd be so easy. For me, that I mean I do go to bed at 1 or 2 a.m. But
Uh-huh.
for me is a challenge. The first thing is challengeful for me is like to get up at 7. But I do have so that I can have better control of my schedule during the day. But when I do it, it just feels great after the while. And
Yeah.
you're doing what you're supposed to do and writing, just like you said, writing the things down.
Hmm. So then, so do this instead. Like, do you know how many hours of sleep you need to sleep that to feel good, to feel like you're energized?
Man, see, I don't have like set control on that, but I do around 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah,
So you should
sometimes
figure
7:30.
out you should figure out how many hours of sleep you need, right? For me, I need 6 hours. That's just
Uh,
how my body works. Like sometimes, like I work on 5 and I crush it on 5, but if I get 6, I'm perfect.
that's
Like my
good, man.
body,
Yeah.
my body like I'll even go to 7, but my body automatically wakes up at 7 hours of sleep. It's just like I will not go past that. It just does not allow me. I'll go to bed at 1, I'll wake up at 8. I'll go to bed at 10, I'll wake up at 5.
Mhm.
Like it's just my body. So if you figure out your body is like, all right, I need 7 hours, right?
Yeah.
So then go to bed at midnight. Bam, you wake up at 7, and then you're feeling energized. Or like, you know what, I need 6 hours, go to bed at 1.
Yeah.
Just but if you set up that time to go to bed at 1, like do that as like your life is depending on going to bed at 1. Because now like you're going to just follow that schedule right into sleep, which is the most important thing. Like you sleep to energize, get your clarity, get your mental focus, and bam, you can start your day right at 7 like you want to.
That's true. I'll be honest, man. I don't take that timing of sleep very seriously because at night I get super excited to like with my
Uh-huh.
things, and then but I have to be up at 7:30. Like I have that as my power list. I cannot otherwise I freak out at 7:30,
Uh-huh.
and then I force myself. Sometimes I do go before, man, but I have to really, as you said, like realize the power of a good time of sleep because when you're awake, that's what it really counts. Also, what
Yeah.
you're doing with your and Renato, what do you do, man? Like I just I
Yeah.
was always curious to just ask you like what is the thing that you I have an idea, but I just wanted to like clarify that.
So what I do is I do advertising. Um, I do advertising for health related companies. So primarily like dentists. So I help them get like more clients, more patients for their business. Health related companies as far as like um, water filtration company that I'm working on right now to bring into America, London, all this area. And all it comes down to is marketing, like making sure I get a message across for someone to have some type of stimulus to interact with an ad that you see on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's what I do.
Uh, I've seen your ads many times, man, on Facebook,
Yeah.
and you kind of already put that thing in my mind that I don't know what you call it, like a something to grab the attention.
Hmm.
I slip off the word in my mind, man.
It's a hook.
The hook, yes. So you got my name is Renato Fabri, and I think that's how you start usually, right? But
Yeah,
I
I
see
start with
those
my
ads
name.
and like right to
Yeah.
the point of you explaining it. Like I like the hook on those ads, man. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Hmm.
appreciate it. Yeah, so that's what I do. I do like if we're gonna break it down, it's called copywriting. So
Hmm.
like I'll create some type of written print with like a compelling message to get people to interact with an ad as far as my own ads, as far as my clients' ads. And then from there, they go into some type of system, like a funnel that I built out to watch a webinar, to watch something so people can take action.
Uh-huh. And you do that for a company, so you create that funnel, the ads for
Hmm.
those companies that they sell health products.
Correct, correct. So like right now, like I said, I focus on dentistry, so like
Mm-hmm.
implants or Invisalign, and then I'm transitioning over into like a product base, so like more health related and just same process, but just transitioning to like a more revenue generating company versus just a service. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Yeah, and then for
Yeah.
those, what's your biggest project that you got right now?
We're Aqua Life Group. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're out of Brazil, and we're introducing it to America. Um, Deadline should be December to launch it.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're just working on like the website, working on the marketing, message, everything to just get it up and running.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm excited to actually bring it to market. It's going to completely educate so many people on the importance of what type of water you should drink, what type of foods you should eat, because that is probably my biggest factor to being able to function on 5, 6 hours of sleep is the
Oh,
food and the drinks that I put into my body as well.
gotcha. Okay, and you're leaving by example. We can tell them, and that's awesome. Yeah.
I love like I eat eggs pretty much every single day. Avocado, I'll eat fruits every day, banana. Like I don't like if you go into my house, like there's nothing to nibble on. Like the nibble, like people get snacks like chips or fruit snacks or whatever it is, or chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah.
My nibble is a banana or an apple, like
Uh-huh.
like I take that all away. So like when I am like, oh, I need a midnight snack, my
Yeah.
midnight snack happens to be a healthy apple. Like
Yeah. No, I get it, man. And so you're doing that every day. How consistent are you? Are you getting like super consistent every day with all that you're doing?
with my food.
Yeah, with the food and the like leading the business and working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's definitely days that like you fall off schedule. The biggest thing is not about like obviously consistency is the most important thing, but
Hmm.
the biggest thing is catching yourself when you mess up, like and then
Yeah.
pushing yourself back onto schedule. Like example, I was in London last week, and I was
Hmm.
completely off schedule because I was on there for business, and there was no like real work as far as like um, going to the office and going to the gym. Like I had no gym first and foremost.
Uh
I
huh.
had um, I had my laptop, so I was working. I was doing my workflows, but I didn't follow my process that well, right? And because I
Right.
was mainly there just connecting with people, building a foundation in London. But the second I got back to America, bam, 4:15. Like it was that quick. It didn't take me a week to get back onto schedule. You
That's
know what I'm saying?
awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Cause when I go out to, I mean, I don't go out of the country. Like I can go to freaking DC or wherever state around, and if I spend 2 days, and I have my power list to follow that I know I have
Hmm.
to do. If I spend 2 days out, I want to do the power list. Like you said, because I don't have that ability like you do. Of if I come back to my to the things that I do regularly here. Just the fact of me leaving, working over there. Sometimes go to DC, do some stuff over there, and then come back. The fact of
Hmm.
me coming back, for me to get back to that grind, if I'm not doing the same thing on my power list over there, I'll have like a full day of feeling like in the funk, where where I need to. That's why I get scared of when I go out. If you were in a hotel outside of the city, and then you're doing
Hmm.
work, like I try to push myself to, okay, I'm still gonna do the follow-ups, wake up to the phone calls. I'm gonna still try to push myself to wake up at 7:30. I got helped a lot with the 75 hard challenge that helped me build that discipline.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I honestly, if I'm gonna break it down to what the like for anyone listening and for you, for me, the absolute biggest thing is understanding your discipline. Like if you have like at the end of the day, it's self-discipline. No one's gonna discipline you. No one's gonna tell you what to do, right? You have to tell
Hmm.
yourself what to do. And if you can keep your word to yourself more than you can keep your word to someone else,
Oh yeah.
you're going to have a great opportunity to continue to grow in whatever endeavor you're trying to do,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like for me, when I tell someone, "Hey, I'm gonna be there 8 a.m. for that meeting," I'm gonna be there at 7:55 so I can be there at 8, right?
Yeah.
Why when I tell myself I'm gonna be there at 8, why am I showing up at 8:35? Like that's I'm not holding my own word as much as I would hold the word to someone else. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Totally, man. I think.
When
Yeah.
when I realized that, and I was like, all right, I gotta keep my own word to myself, then I started to be more punctual to me. I started to say, all right, listen, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this amount of cold calls. Cool. We're doing this amount of cold calls. Bam, we're gonna send out these amount of emails. Cool. We're sending out these amount of emails. Like I made sure that I started to do those things because I wanted to just not disappoint myself.
More, and you become more responsible to have more of that work ethic towards your own success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's, and we can apply that to any, just like you said, man. That's awesome, because I think if we apply that to any part of our lives, I think Gary Vee talks a lot about it. You know,
Hmm.
it's part of that, and I know you really don't care. Comparing to, a majority of people, they do. But when you start living that life of don't care about what people think of you, but it's not in
Hmm.
a way of gossip, because I mean that you gotta eliminate completely, that you got to, but in a
Hmm.
way of you really not caring to the fact of you doing it, think what they're gonna think of you, and just do it for yourself.
Yeah,
Consequently, just like you work, like I'm sure you have, uh, the short term success, how people around see, it's pretty awesome what you have. And what you show, you still are showing the grind, you're still showing, and that's what caught my attention towards you, is regardless of all that you do, that I know it's paying off, I'm sure it's paying off really well. But no, you're
hmm,
still there, still showing that grind to people. You're not showing any glamorous life. You're doing that
yeah,
work to understanding that the glamorous comes after, because you also
yeah.
don't care about what other people think.
No, I really don't.
Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
like I have my priorities. Like yeah, I like I could spend money on stupid shit, but
Hmm.
that's not going to really help me at all, other than like an ego thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I don't want to feed like one of the biggest things that I found is like you don't want to feed certain aspects in your life, right? Like, you don't want to feed your
Mm,
ego. You
beautiful.
don't want to
Yes.
feed these negatives in your life. You want to feed the positives, right? You want to feed your mindset. You want to feed your belief. You want to feed
Yes.
some skill sets you're going to develop, right? And when you're feeding those things, you don't need you don't need the glamour. Like it's gonna come, like
Yeah.
and it's gonna come when I have actual passive income. Like I know for a fact, I'm 23 right now. When
Hmm.
I'm 27, I'm purchasing my first 12 unit real estate property. I already know it's already written out. I already know it's gonna happen. It's in 4 years, and that's gonna come. It's not even gonna be that much passive income,
Yeah.
but that's gonna be my play money, the passive income. It's not gonna be just money sitting in the bank. Like, oh, I want to buy this. Like that's just not smart.
That's
And I,
awesome, man. Yeah.
it's just not a smart thing to do because I could use that money into my business. I could throw that into ads. I could throw that into marketing. I could throw that into training. Like there's so many things that I could throw that money into that like a Gucci belt or a nice car
Hmm.
or whatever isn't gonna help me. It's literally just gonna feed my ego.
Yeah. Uh, that's, man. That was so awesome what you said. Exactly like that. You don't want to feed certain, especially the ego, which I also try the same way, man. Too. I have this a little bit of weak point that I feel the ego towards me myself. Like if I want something nice, I put in my target list to do it soon, but also to make me work harder right now. That
Hmm.
can play positively if we see it that way. But sometimes if I keep it my focus on that, sometimes I get that ego that I want to do it, and even if we have the money to do it, but for we shouldn't use the money because we're working for something bigger. We were working, something more important than that. And
I'll use a perfect example right here. Ready?
yeah.
Let's pretend you want to buy a Ferrari, right? $200,000, right?
Hmm.
And that's what you want to buy. Okay. You could either buy a Ferrari, you put that into a car, you drive it around, you feel awesome for a month, 2 months. Let's say you feel awesome for 6 months, right? Now that money is just sitting in that car where you could have, if you understand marketing, if you understand sales, you could throw that 200K into marketing, and that 200K now becomes 800K.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, so it's like that's the mentality that I'm on right now. And I
Yes.
don't I don't want to take that money out of my business. That's helping me grow. It's helping me to like feel that I'm accomplishing some things. I'm gonna retire my parents, like all these things, and just dump it into something that isn't gonna help me. It's just gonna make me look cool.
Yeah. That totally, man. When you know, if you're working something for your own business and you know it's working, and you have that money, you know how it returns. As a business owner, we can really tell. We know what it is. We know if we put this amount of money, it's not like we're gonna see how much it's gonna pay back, but we know with grind, it's gonna come back much better than
Hmm.
having on both. I was talking to Grant, the other day with the podcast,
Yeah.
and that's exactly one of the what he said was, you don't want to use unearned income. I think unearned income money for
Hmm.
bullshit purchases.
Yeah.
You just want to use passive. If you want to buy some bullshit stuff, and live the glamorous life, a nice car, is if you gain that money not through something that didn't take work for you to do it, but
Hmm.
investment, something that you're I don't even use the word passive income because a lot of people are not going to understand, but that didn't take work, that didn't take you grinding for your business or for my franchise or to even if it's coming from that, but that took work.
Hmm.
But for your real estate, it's coming in, right? That's what I totally get what you're saying, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. Like I think that's the secret. Like the only passive legit income is gonna come from stocks, right? You're getting the S&P 500, you're doing like an ETF,
Mhm.
um, or real estate, and any one of those you're getting anywhere between 6 to 11 to maybe 14%, right? And a year, and that is your play money. That should be your play money. That's what it is. Like, and if and the hard thing is that like you have to build that up. And I don't think people want to build it up. Like that's why we live in this like instant gratification type of society. Like example, you want a nice Mercedes, but you only got $1,000. No
Mhm.
issues.
Call from Wings Mobile V.
You'll pay monthly on it. You put that $1,000 down, and now that instead of 42,000, it's 41,000 paid out in 60 months, and it really cost you, you
Yeah.
know, 59,000. But you want it now, so
Yeah.
we're able to make some money on you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and you didn't use that money, especially if you're what it is not paying at first. You're using that all those years that you're paying for it that you could be not only accumulating but putting back into the business. The one hard thing to find, Renato, and it's not that bullshit excuse. Oh, it's so hard to find people out there because we gotta work it out.
mhm,
But and I understand when you said people we people can understand that, oh hey, I have the surplus of money, I'm gonna for it's easy for us to see, oh, we can get this money and it's worth it for us to put back in the business and grow it.
mhm,
Problem is the majority of people out there, like, they don't, not only do they not have something, but they don't, I don't know, they don't know where to do with the money, so they end up, okay, kind of getting back into the normal life, average life of not having something to grow.
mhm,
Which I don't blame them. Like I was like that at the beginning when I didn't have the business, for example.
Hmm.
how do you make people see that? Like, that's the trouble I have. How to make people
That
see that
honestly,
excitement?
honestly, man, that's a loaded question. But it's education, man. At the end of the day, like it's education. When
Hmm.
someone becomes educated, and I'm not saying going in and learning math, learning English, learning history. It's education on mindset, on a skill. Like first and foremost, your mindset that you believe that you can do what you're supposed to do, and you can believe that you can stay committed for as long as you need to accomplish it. That's the first thing. And then part two is the skill that you need to acquire to get to where you're trying to go, right? Example, if you need for you need to, you want to open up like three more franchises, right?
200 more,
So
man.
200 more. All right, so that's the goal. You want to open up 200 more franchises.
By 40 years
Like
old.
it's clear to me that you need to develop more leadership skills, right? Because
Hmm.
that's going to help you to lead your franchisees to follow the systems. You need to also develop management and system skills and processes because now you're going to have a process and a system that someone can get plugged into that allows them to have success with the right manager, aka you, kind of showing them the ropes, right? So it's leadership, systems, and processes, and then persuasion, because you now need to actually get someone that has potential to
Yeah.
jump into your vehicle and not someone else's vehicle, right? So like those are the skills. There's obviously more, but those are the top three that I can clearly see for someone to acquire those many franchises is what needs to be developed upon. You follow?
Yeah, definitely, man.
So then,
And keeping
so
that persistency up as well, right? For people to, when they want to acquire something as well, for them to go after, because they're not gonna know how to do it until they actually do something that they feel like it's not gonna work. That's when I feel like I get the most knowledge out. When I learn the most is when, let's say, I have to go to another city and go to an event. The moment that I think, ah man, I don't think this event's gonna work out. I don't think this opportunity is gonna work out if I go there, because people out there and start having doubts. That's the moment when I show up there, I get the most out of it for some reason. Just that showing
really
up, it's crazy.
interesting.
It's crazy. It works for the biggest thing, like you were saying, to the smallest thing. When I'm selling the service itself, the auto detailing service. When I
Hmm.
go by, go cold showing up to dealerships, for example. I get my car, go on the road, talk to the managers there. When I pass to a dealership and I'm like, maybe I don't think this dealership's gonna win. When I wanted to go for it, I decide, okay, let me stop. That
Yeah,
is out of 10. That's the one dealership that gets my service. This happened like over 3 times, man. It's crazy.
yeah.
That's
Hey,
crazy.
I'll tell you a quick story. I had a buddy of mine, in Florida that did dent repair,
Hmm.
which is in the same realm as detailing and painting. It's dent repair. You follow, right?
Yeah.
And I was helping him to get some business. So like I took like about a month to go out and do some sales for him and go speak to the GMs. This was a while ago. This is like back in like 2017, end of 2017, something like that.
Okay.
Um, and I was a little distracted too, so I was helping him out, getting a little bit of money that way. And regardless,
On your
I
20s? You're probably on your 20s then?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And so I was doing exactly that. We would drive to dealerships and I would go and talk to like the used car manager or the GM and just try to sell them like, listen guys, like these guys are awesome, and like pitch them as far as like, listen, first and foremost, they're the best guys you've ever seen, right? And I can bet anything on it. Give me any car, they'll be able to remove the debt at for free, just to like get the foot in the door. And within a month we got 5 dealerships, and it was a reoccurring thing.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful, man. Yeah.
It was a reoccurring thing. We would go back every single week. It was like in 3 months they produced, it was like 21K,
Hmm.
right? On just revenue, because like there's so many dents, like dents
Yeah.
are everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Opportunities out there like crazy,
the
man.
opportunities out there, you just gotta look for it. And I
Yeah.
was I was never looking at it either, as far as like dealerships has an opportunity to get in there and be going there every single week or every single 2 weeks to do 10 cars, and those 10 cars you pull out 2K, you know.
Yeah.
um so the opportunity's there, and I was doing just that, like going in there, and trust me, I had days where I was like, oh, I do not want to go speak to a GM right now, because you get a shit ton of no's. I won't even lie to you.
Uh-huh. You do, man, and that's funny. That's how I normally train the franchise that people who acquire the franchisees.
Hmm.
Is let me know how you think about it. If you, I don't know if you do the same way, but I train the guys. If they're gonna become new business owners, to expect no's. Like we're gonna
Yeah,
go to 10 dealerships, expect to receive 10 no's. You're gonna work to a yes, obviously, but expect 10 no's because an entrepreneur life later on, 5 year, when you're four, I can speak 5 years in because that's how I am. I've been only 6 years, but when you're 4 years in the business and a lot of negative, things come, that's something that you're not expecting. You're gonna be trained for that because you're already trained from the beginning to receive those no's, no, no in your face.
yeah. I got
Mm.
some thick skin, man. I'll tell you this right now. Like
Yeah.
I'll get a note. Like I'll say hi. Like I now am at the point where I'll just say hi to people at like a coffee shop or the
Mm-hmm.
mall or the metro, wherever I'm at, on the, like just walking down the street, and I'll make a conversation and exchange Instagrams or exchange numbers or something if I can provide value or they can provide value. And I think that are credited to a shit ton of cold calls when I was like, and a shit ton of just door knocking, as far as like going into businesses and just saying hi, and just presenting myself and just not knowing a thing of what I had to do, but just taking action and then
Yes.
figuring it out.
That's awesome, man. It's so few people who sees that, who understands that, door knocking, cold calling, and going cold builds such a big foundation for later on in business, that a lot of people start their business, they are not giving value to that. Oh, flyers don't work, cold knocking don't work, but that's the foundation. That's what builds the foundation for them to know what it actually takes, where the money comes
Yeah,
from.
yeah. I mean, I didn't have the greatest success, but I'll tell you what, it opened a lot of doors later on. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like I did a shit ton of cold calls and I got a lot of business. It was I did a shit ton of cold calls, I got a bunch of no's, and I got one yes out of all those no's. And those that one yes gave me referrals, and
Exactly.
then
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so it's not the most glamorous thing. It just helps with the being able to hear no and just brush it off, because no is just one step closer to the yes.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like if you and now I calculated through my ads, like um, I speak to how many people? I speak to 100 people, I'll close 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get an 18% close rate on my thing. So as far as like actually getting the numbers down, I understand that now. So I just know I talk to 5 people, I'm going to close one,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let me
Yes.
just talk to 5 people. Let me just go talk to 5 people. I'm going to close one of those five. Sometimes I'll close three, right back to back. And then sometimes it takes eight for me to get no's before I close another person, because it's a regression to the mean. But I know those numbers. And once you understand like that's your close rate, though that's where your presentation is, then you just want to get to as many no's as possible, because the yes will come
Y-
shortly.
get as many no's as possible. Yeah. That's amazing, Renato. Man, thank you so much, man. Thank you, Renato, for uh, getting the phone call, man. I think it was the first time we spoke on the phone, and we are just following each
Yeah.
other on Instagram, I guess.
Uh huh.
And it was so awesome speaking to you, man. If for anybody who wants to follow, do you grow a personal brand or mainly? Uh,
I got myself on Instagram. It's called Ren Fabri, RenFabri, and that's my Instagram. I do some YouTube. I'm not really growing it as much,
mm-hmm.
but same thing. We're Ren Fabri. You'll be able to find some videos, and that's where I'm at.
That's
Like
sweet, man. I'll put on the
you'll see the
description.
grind.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I was gonna say exactly that. Follow follow Renato if you want to see the grind, because it's motivating, man. I mean, for whoever is already on that grind, you gotta
Mhm.
maintain yourself around these type of people. That's what I like to do,
Yeah.
and because it's hard to find people who actually understands the fulfillment out of this.
I appreciate you having me. Like, continue to grow, continue to reach out to people. Like, I love that you're building this up, and I'm shooting for you. I want to see those 200 franchises.